Okay, continuing on with city growth. So looking at the population of London and how it's growing up, we see that at the end of the 18th century, so at the end of the 1700s, the areas in black are the areas that are incorporated in London. Then by the 1830s, we see that it spread much more. And then by the 1870s, so again within not even 100 years' time, the city has quadrupled in the number of establishments and people. So massive growth in a very short period of time. This is an example of a bridge crossing. And so you can see that it's just packed with horses and carts, because again they didn't have cars at this time, so massive amount of people crossing these bridges daily. Another thing, quite honestly, to think about is the dirt and pollution that's coming from this and everything else. I mean, imagine all of these horses that are roaming through this small cramped area. In the background you can see how closely everything's packed together as it's being built up. A view of the dockyards right in front of Tower Bridge. You see in the background. So this is toward the late 1800s, but we can see the buildings go right up to the river, massive amount of boats on the river, etc. And this is just a view of an overview of an older map of London, and I wanted to point this out. When we talk about London, we're really kind of talking about an area that is about this big. So kind of with this line here, over, down, but then it grows up, and now what is the city of London covers pretty much this entire map. Just to give you an idea, when the city of London grew up, it started here in this area, and although the city and the people were living here, this is where Buckingham Palace is, so this is where Queen Victoria moved in. Prior to that, the kings and queens lived elsewhere, but Queen Victoria decided to make Buckingham Palace her home. Sorry, it's actually here. And all of this is still the park behind the home for her, for the current queen. And then right here, this black dot is Big Ben, the Houses of Parliament. And this was called Westminster. And so this was a completely separate city just for where all the politics took place. And then over here, what is today referred to as the city in London is where all of the banking and modern day offices are, and Fleet Street was there, so for publication, all of the industry, quote unquote, is in this part, which is referred to as the city. When you're in London, they will talk about the city of London versus the city. The city of London takes up everything on this map, but the city is just one area. This is considered the city of Westminster. So you have all little different areas even within the city of London proper. This is a view over St. Paul's Cathedral, and so just wanted to bring in a couple of architectural things here. One, if you've been to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., you'll know that the dome resembles this dome because they modeled it on this dome of St. Paul's. Also, you get a really good look at the surrounding areas. You have one wide street, but then on the sides you can see really small streets and just buildings, banks of buildings crushed together. And so again, this is where people come to work and then they would leave. That's how it is today. In the 1800s, they would also then live not too far from this because they would need to be in walking distance of their jobs. We're also going to see another problem that comes up from this. Here's a current map of just one small part of the city of London. Basically, over 3/4 of the city is cut off from this. This is just one small swoop. This part over here is the city of London, that small area, the city. And then out here is it's called today Canary Wharf. And it's an area that has also become built up as a industry. A lot of office buildings, a lot of major corporations are out there. It's also referenced in Doctor Who and Torchwood because a major battle took place there. But you can still see how closely together and how dense the city really is, the city of London. Also, it's a little bit hard to tell in some of this, but you have the mayor's office is this kind of odd-shaped building. You have certain high-rises that look one way. The buildings out here are each distinctive. This picture was taken from a new building called the Shard, which is a very tall building that you will see in the first of the Series 7 episodes with Clara that you're going to be looking at. And this is an overview from space of the city of London. Again, you can just see how massive these things are packed in together. That this was, right here was the view we were looking at, just this little part. This is Tower Bridge. This is the area I pointed out to you. This is Canary Wharf. And so, again, that picture which I showed you and the previous picture looks so massive, it really is just this small area with this in the distance. And you still have all of this. So, again, a massive, massive city, and it grew to this size by 1870. Things have been torn down and rebuilt, but I mean, this is how the city has been for the last 150 years, this jam-packed of people. And so when you think of this many people getting to such a small space, we're going to have problems with crime, like I said, but also with housing, and we're going to have the importance of industry rising up and how that creates a problem as well, which we will be exploring in the next lecture.